Goal is to help you live with more passion, love with more purpose, and lead an overcoming life. Today on Healing Rain, my guest is Michael Jr., a comedic thought leader who spoke recently at the National Religious Broadcasters. And I wanted to share this conversation we had at the convention. And I have with me Michael Jr.
Yes, I'm here.
And here, you've just written a book,
I
Funny
did.
How Life Works.
I did.
And one of the things I love about this is you are a comedic thought leader.
Yes.
So what is a comedic thought leader?
Well, it started out with me just really doing traveling, touring, doing comedy.
Right.
But I felt like God called me to so much more, which was to inspire people to walk in purpose.
Yeah.
So in my ventures, digging through the Word and science and to learn about the brain, I started to kind of bring all of this stuff together in a way that really kind of helps people, but through laughter. So I guess that's kind of what comedic thought leader is.
Well, I think laughter is really good medicine.
Yeah.
And one thing I've seen, and I don't know if this is true for you, I have not read your book
So you're
yet.
spreading rumors.
No, I'm
Right,
going to ask
right.
the question directly from the
Okay.
source. One thing I have known for many that are in comedy, that sometimes it's out of brokenness, it's out of difficult situations that laughter begins to erupt. Is that true in your life at all?
Why you gotta bring that up? Yeah, so it's true with some content, but for me, it's not completely there. Because when I first started doing comedy, I would make people laugh for acceptance. I
Oh,
wasn't aware of it.
interesting.
So if I make people laugh, that meant that they accepted me. But then when I met Jesus and understood what he actually did for me,
Yeah.
that took care of a lot of the acceptance that I needed from people. And I still want to be accepted by people, but it wasn't in an unhealthy way any longer. So mine really came from a desire to be accepted, but now that I have that acceptance in a pretty significant way from God, the people's acceptance don't have as much weight. There's still some weight, but not as much. So mine really comes from now it has shifted from what can I give or what can I get from people, which was acceptance, to what can I give to my audience. And that shift changed everything in a big way.
Well, it's something how when we're on a journey with God, he shifts us different times.
Absolutely.
And
Is that like a karate?
it is. It's like this is a shift.
Yeah.
This is a cultural shift. And he calls some in the body of Christ really to be atmosphere shifters. And if you think about what laughter does, laughter shifts the atmosphere.
It does.
And it does. I mean, really, laughter can break through a spirit of heaviness. Laughter
It
can
does.
break through depression. There's some that have even done studies
Yes.
that if you laugh a half an hour every day, it is good for your health.
It is. Even for 20 minutes, like laughter opens up the heart in such a way that a deposit can be made, and the endorphins and all of the really awesome stuff that takes place. And the reason we wrote the book is really about helping people understand their purpose. But the reason we made it funny is because whenever laughter is attached to funny, you remember the information even more. In fact, whatever information you attach to laughter, after you're done laughing, you will still be attracted to that information because your brain doesn't have the ability to separate where the pleasure came from.
Yeah.
So it'll continue to look like, wait, I was just studying purpose. Ooh, let me find some more of that purpose stuff. Your brain doesn't know. It just asks the question, what was most different here, and how do we repeat that thing? So it actually becomes even more, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing if you're watching the wrong type of comedy.
Yeah.
It really hurts.
Or whenever comedy is at the expense of someone,
Yeah.
where you're making fun of someone.
Exactly, because that gets in your heart as well.
That can get in your heart. And so, did you grow up where
Yes, I
you
did.
were
I'm a grown man now. Yes.
were you in the classroom and were you making other people laugh when you were going through school? Was it something
No, I
that
was
was
never-
natural? No?
Yeah, it is. The ability was natural, but I also understood that I can't just like I was never the class clown because my dad, like the teacher called my dad, and then it's all bad from there. So I would only say things were funny enough to make the teacher laugh, because a laughing teacher doesn't send you to the principal office.
Yeah.
So that has to be very strategic. So even now in my comedy, I try to be very strategic as to what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna say, and why, as opposed to just blurting out. Now I used to blurt out a little more when I was just looking for acceptance, but now that I'm really looking to kind of give, I study the situation a little more first.
And so you study the situation,
Yeah.
and then what are you doing when you're studying the situation? Are you listening to God? Are you thinking about, okay, I've done this set before with this audience? What are you doing when you're studying the situation?
So when I'm on stage, what's taking place is, and this is taking place my whole comedy career, I may be presenting joke number one. But at the same time, I'm doing the math on what I think joke number two should be based off people who are currently responding to joke number one. Then I will move on to joke number three and start doing the math on what I think that joke should be based off how they're currently responding to joke number one and probably will respond to joke number two. And move on to joke number four. I actually used to go 7 jokes deep. And the question I was asking was, how can I get laughs from people? But then I met Jesus, and my question changed from how can I get laughs from people to what can I give to my audience?
Yeah.
When you ask that question, you see different things.
Yeah.
So as soon as I started asking that question, most of the time the answer was something funny, but sometimes the answer was a little more, where I would have to say something a little deeper than just what's funny. So I started doing it. So literally I'm listening in between the gaps while I'm on stage. By the way, anybody listening right now or anybody watching this, in your life there's gaps. What question are you asking in between the gaps?
Good.
Are you asking what can I get, or are you asking what can I give? And if you don't know the answer to that question, I think you know the answer to that question by default. Since the fruit you've been asking, what can I give? So once I changed that question, so many more opportunities showed up in a significant way. It was pretty exciting.
It is exciting. It really is. And you get to perform today.
Yes,
Tonight
today.
at the NRB.
Yes.
I'm really excited
NRB
about that.
is not really black. So it can be a part of it.
I'm going to remember that one. Did you hear that, Sean?
It's completely true.
Well, it is completely true.
But I get to be a part of it, so I'm
You
super.
get to be a part of it. You're saying the obvious.
Yeah.
You know, and the reality is we got to change that, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, we really do.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, I think we should do some. I think I'm the person who says we need to pray about what we're going to do and then do that thing, and then what it looks like, it could be a result. It could look different as a result of it, or whatever. So,
well, and Michael, we haven't met, but I have a integrated family, and we would not go to a church that wasn't integrated. I mean, it was very important.
But once you got there, it was integrated.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could make it.
Well, you know that there's some truth in that.
Yeah.
And we did serve an all-black congregation, and Wayne and I. You know?
Oh.
So I mean, we have done this, and the reality
That's why
is,
you had all the rhythm.
I got the rhythm, and I've got sons that got rhythm.
Yeah.
And the reality is,
learned it.
part of healing is stepping into the gap. Part of healing is when things are not right, when there is a racial divide, when there is that you step into it and you confront what Jesus would confront, right?
That's good.
Because really, I just talked with Dallas Jenkins, and one of their values on the show is disruptive. And sometimes you just got to turn over the tables of the money changers, right? You got to just start cleansing the house. You just do. And part of what I believe is that God is wanting to heal his house. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on Healing Rain is that God brings healing through laughter. And God brings healing through difference.
Laughter for sure. In fact, it's the reason I wrote the book, because I want people to laugh and then make a deposit. And we even created a course called Funny How My Life Works.
You did?
Yeah, we
Tell me about that course.
So the course, it's literally stand-up comedy videos.
Yeah.
It's me doing some straight-to-camera funny. And a lot of it is funny But then we have these questions and we think these things that we walk people through so they can better understand what they're called to do. By the end of it, people are feeling like, oh, wow, like you get so much clarity because of the questions that we're asking in the course. And if people want it, they can go to funnyhowmylifeworks.com and actually get the course. And the course is created so people can get on course with what they're created to do.
Oh, that's awesome. So repeat that again for the audience.
Funnyhowmylifeworks.com.
Yeah. And as we close, how did you get the title for the book?
I came up with the funny how life works because it is funny how life works. In the book, there's a story about some police officers coming into my apartment, putting a gun in my head, pulling the helmet back. There's stories of me being homeless, living in my car. But it's still some funny stories in there, and it all displays how life works. So life isn't always funny, but it can be funny how life works if you look at it from a perspective of what God might be doing. So that's why we do.
I'm grateful for your journey.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for your yes.
I'm grateful that you've got some black hands. You could have just got white ones, but you said,
we went to Brazil.
Brazil.
They're from Brazil.
There's some
so they're Brazilian.
There's some in downtown Dallas. They got a couple. I'm just you got to pray about where you're.
You are so funny. Well, healing is good medicine, and make sure that you check out this new book and the course by Michael Jr. And really, it's going to help you get on course. And that laughter is going to bring healing in your life. So thanks for joining me.
Awesome. You're really good at this. Thank you so much.
Well, I care about you. That's why we're here. Yeah. And we want your message.
If I was younger, you would have adopted me.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Well, I adopt everybody.
Laughter shifts atmosphere. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Michael Jr. It is funny how life works and how God uses laughter in our lives to shift atmospheres. I just want to close today with that reminder. Laughter is good medicine. Find those ways every single day that you can simply enjoy life. God has made you with a purpose, but that purpose is not found through striving. That purpose is found through the joy of the Lord, which is our strength.